So, hi, schönen Abend. Wir sind hier heute für die letzte Whisky Quicky des Jahres 2021, sorry.
Also für den ersten Whisky Quicky.
Oder erste Quickie des 2022. Ja, heute haben wir Kenny McDonald. Also wir würden ihn gleich vorstellen und wir würden auch die Sprache gleich umstellen. So.
Aber vorher noch frohes neues Jahr an euch allen, die zuschauen. Wir hatten ja diesmal kein Silvester-Tasting und ja, und wir wollen natürlich auch Happy New Year zum Kenny wünschen. We're really happy you're back.
Delighted to be back. Thank you very much for asking me. And a
Hey, Kenny.
happy New Year to everyone out there. I hope it was a very sober and sensible New Year, obviously.
Like always.
Like always, yeah.
Like always.
So they are commented, of course, in German. So it's a wealthy New Year, a healthy New Year.
Healthy New Year, yeah. A wealthy too, I hope, yeah.
Healthy and wealthy would be
Healthy
good.
and wealthy sounds good.
Yeah.
Let's start with healthy. If we can get that down this year, and 2022 is a little bit kinder than the last 2 years have been, I'll be a happy boy. That's for sure. I'll be a happy boy.
So you're keeping well. You're back on track.
Back on track. I was all set to be a good boy tonight. I'd brought through my glass of water and all ready to be very well behaved. And then John said, "Oh, I'm just away to get a beer." And I thought, "Oh, to hell with this. Why am I drinking water?" So my beautiful assistant managed to bring through a beer to get started. Yeah, we're just getting ready to kind of get back to normality, really, guys. You know, we've got a lot of work to catch up on after the holidays. So, you know, the tree comes down tomorrow and all vestige of fun is wiped for the planet and it's back to work.
We always forget the tree and then we have to sneak down the road with it like near the end of January, you know.
We just want to keep it beloved.
Because we like to look at the tree. Yeah.
Quite right too, mate. Quite right. And you know, it's one of these things, the minute it's up, it's back down again. It used to be when I was a kid, it felt like it was there forever. And now, literally, I feel like I've just decorated that yesterday and I'm taking it back down again. Goes too fast, guys. Goes too fast.
So, Kenny, we've got two whiskies here. And we were just talking about it before we got on the program here, about the order. So you think we start with the secret Orkney?
Yeah, I think so, actually, because with this, I mean, obviously, I can't divulge what distillery that this secret Orkney comes from. I can tell you it's not Scapa, but other than that, I can't possibly tell you where it comes from. This one's actually, it's got quite a delicate palate. There's a lot going on in it, but although we're doing this very much the wrong way around from the way you would normally do something when you've got one whiskey at 13 years old and one whiskey at 5 years old. Common sense would have it the other way around. But I think when we get to the Dolmonach, you'll maybe see why I'm quite happy doing it this way around today.
So it's the right order. So for everybody asking, oh, do I have that in the right order? Yeah, it's the right order. It's number 7 is the first one. Because that's number 7 from that's the fourth part of our Whisky Quicky.
So I see you've managed to get yourself a Fijian rum cask here.
We did. Now, there's a wee story about this cask, actually, to be honest, John. This originally was a cask that we laid down for the Village Whisky Festival. It was meant to be a bottling that we were going to do with Michael Gradle for the 2021 festival. 2020 do you know what?
No, 2020 we saw each other.
2020 it must have been. But it never happened. It never happened. And then what with a huge amount of conjecture as to whether these festivals would go ahead and Michael and ourselves going their own ways, we decided, well, you know what, we're not just going to sit in this, we're going to release it for general sale rather than as a one-off special. Now, at the time, you know, when we looked at this, and there was a lot of input from Michael in this cask, he very much wanted it as a rum cask. So I thought, all right, okay. But having looked at the spirit was a very delicate spirit. It was quite a light, gentle cask. And I thought, if I bring a big, heavy-hitting Caribbean rum into this, I'm going to completely lose what is that distillery character in this dram. So we looked for something much more gentle, much more delicate. And for that, did a wee bit of reading up. I'm not the greatest rum expert in the world. I kind of know what I like. And I'm having to learn more because we've started bottling our own single cask rums as well. Which so far has gone down pretty well. But very much when I was looking at things, Fiji seemed to be the best bet for me. It was going to give me a really nice, rich, tropical, delicate note, rather than that really heavy, sticky, slightly funky aspect you might get from Jamaica, for example. And I hope when you try this, you'll see that it's worked. I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah, Jamaica's not always everybody's favourite rum.
It's an acquired taste. We released a Clarendon earlier in the year, a Money Musk, and I love it, but it's funky as hell. There is no two ways about it. And, when you see the state of these distilleries, they are the most dilapidated, hanging together places. Huge, big, open fermentation tanks. And you do not want to know what happens to anything that falls into one of those, because it stays there and becomes part of the funk. But yeah, if I was to use something like that, not only did I think it would have hidden the distillery characteristic that's in this dram, but it would actually have overwhelmed the entire thing. And I think it could have been quite an unpleasant dram if we'd done it with a big, heavy rum. So yeah, I think using the Fiji, it's really complemented the spirit to the best that we could do.
Yeah, I think you don't want to kill the taste of your not Scarpa distillery,
Exactly. And it's one of these things, that's always incumbent on us as independent bottlers, is that you're not trying to reinvent the wheel. You're not trying to create a completely different flavour profile associated with one distillery. What you're trying to do is complement it to the best that you can. You're showcasing that spirit. We're lucky enough to be granted the right to use that spirit, and we've got to make sure that we make it taste and make it as enjoyable as it can possibly be. Because if, for example, someone out there, maybe this is the first time they've ever tasted not Scarpa distillery, and if they don't like it, they might go, "Oh, I'm never buying another one of those. Oh, I tried that once and I didn't like it." So it's incumbent on us to make sure that we do our very best to really bring it to life, do something a wee bit different from the distillery, but showcase it well. And I think with this one, we've pretty much hit the nail on the head. So this one's coming in at 54.6. I would love to join you in a dram of this, but there's not a drop left of it in Scotland. But I'll make up with it with a Dalmarnock. So this one is 13 years old. It was actually about 10 months come the end of the finish, which is quite a long finish for us. We normally finish pretty short. We like short 3 to 4 month finishes, just to turn the spirit and no more. This one, mainly because we weren't sure what we were doing festival-wise or not, sat for a little bit longer, but we monitored it. We really kept a close eye on it because I was worried it would go slightly too far. That's an interesting note from you about the kind of grassier notes. So Fijian rums, they're not going down that agricole, that slightly more vegetative note, but you will get a lot of freshness coming out of it. Yeah, I love the gummy bear comment. That's a great comment. And it has that lovely fruitiness. And for me, it's a sweet that we had when we were kids called pineapple cubes. They tasted great, but they took all the skin off the roof of your mouth. They were brutal. But by God, they tasted good, so we kept eating the damn things. And that's very much what I get in here. There's a wee bit of kind of, for me, it's like grilled apple. It's like if you've taken apple, big thick apple slices and grilled it on a barbecue to go along with some grilled pork. I always get wee notes of that. There is that little savoury note in there somewhere. There's a little hint of smoke lying about because of the distillery character. But again, it's not overwhelming. It's not in your face. But I think that works really well with these kind of nice tropical notes that are lying in there. And then you get that kind of kick of, for me, it's chili flakes and a little bit of ginger coming in at the end of it.
I think grilled apples on a barbecue might be the next thing.
I know.
It's definitely that's it was. I've done it once or twice where I've done pork, and I've just big thick slices of apple and just flung them onto the barbecue and just let them char. You know, and that's very much what I was getting off of this was that nice, quite crisp, not overly sweet fruitiness of the apple, almost quite sharp. But it's got that charred note going on in there as well. And it works.
Granny Smith?
Yeah, Granny Smith, going down that line.
Good.
You know, that's like, But there's already enough sweetness in here. So the one thing you don't want is to add more sweetness. The distillery style itself is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Then you're bringing these tropical pineapple, banana, mango notes coming into play. So the one thing you really need to do is find something in there that's going to temper the sweetness. And a little bit of that char smoke note coming into play just tempers it right for me. But I'm loving the comments coming in.
So light pepper, Klaus means that's more like a chili, not light pepper.
Yeah. Well, that's very much what I get. It's like chili flakes.
Oh, okay.
Sweet fruit jam, banana, pear, vanilla, light pepper. That's why you said that. And seaweed at the end.
Seaweed.
Now that I never got on this one. Funnily enough, I do from time to time get it from this particular distillery. Because you do have that very coastal note in there, you know. But that's not one that I got overly on this one. I normally get that on something which has got a salty tang in there. And it's almost like a mix of salt and it's like ozone. You know, if you've ever walked along a shoreline after a storm, you get that really zingy ozoniness in the air. And that always brings that seaweed note in for me, which I don't really get too much from this one.
Yeah, Gerald is right. It's
Yeah,
very smooth with cast, very easily. Yeah.
It's sort of funny with it's like Harry Potter with the distillery that can't be named, you know, like.
It is. So long as I don't say that it's Highland Park, we're okay, because Highland Park would be really upset if I said it was Highland Park. So I'm not going to say it's Highland Park.
No.
I think I got away with that. I should be okay.
So what is the English word for zuckerwatte, John?
Zuckerwatte is you know when you go to the fair and you get those sugar things. I can't remember what they're called anymore.
Candy floss.
No.
Candy
yeah, it's like a candy thing, you know, big fluffy
big fluffy thing.
Yeah.
It's a cotton candy, John.
Cotton candy?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Cotton candy or candy. We call it candy floss.
Candy floss, that's the one.
Candy floss.
Cotton candy is more American, maybe. Yeah.
You can literally feel the teeth rotting in your mouth. Not just pure sugar. But that works really well for a Scottish diet. You know, everything that we eat is based on a dare, mostly. You know, so if it's not deep fried or soaking in sugar, then we're not interested.
Yep.
Deep fried Mars bar is the best Scottish invention.
I've seen one, but I've never tried one. I've never been brave enough because even I could hear my own heart screaming, even looking at someone else eating it, and I thought, step too far for me.
Now, Catarina bought some Mars bars and we froze them.
And then
we did a beer batter.
Beer butter.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
I didn't try it. No.
No, probably best.
It's good.
It's good. Okay.
But you can't eat like
Katerina,
maybe a half.
I'll stick with my dram. That's going to be that's my vice. I'll stick with these things.
I had a good laugh when I was in Scotland 40 years ago, and then went into the fish and chip shop, and they had haggis and chips. That was like
brilliant. A haggis supper. A haggis supper is key. That or black pudding suppers. I would always, so for us, if it's a supper, it's just with chips. So that would always be my chip shop visit of choice is always a black pudding supper with plenty of salt and plenty of vinegar. You can smell me coming before you can see me. That's for sure.
Love that.
That's a nice dram. Goes down easy.
Do you know, it's one of the ones that, you know, it has been mentioned there that for a dram that's at 54.6% alcohol, you wouldn't know that. You really would. It's a very, very easy drinking dram, which is one of the reasons that I've got none of it left. Found it too easy drinking. I always keep every bottle number one. I keep. So I've got every bottle number one we've ever done. But if I was to even dare open it, Victoria would have my guts. So that, unfortunately, this is one that for us over here is long gone. Now that we've started to bottle our own rums as well, it does give us the opportunity to play with the casks. And what we're going to do is a little bit of crossover work where we've just released a 13-year-old 4-square. There was 8 years out in Barbados and 5 years in Scotland in a whiskey cask. So that really nice crossover. And it'd be nice to do it the other way. So we could use the rum cask for whiskey, and then once we've finished with that and the cask is still good, or we can take it back to rum because it's going to have a whiskey influence in it. So it gives us a wee bit of flexibility to play with. But yeah, for a first step into rum casks, as far as a finish goes, I'm really happy with this. I've tried one or two rum finishes in the past that just didn't work for me. I think the one that is always benchmarked as the classic rum finish would be Balvenie's 14-year-old, the Caribbean cask.
Yeah, not bad.
Lovely dram. But for me, that step up in strength really brings it all together. But there again, I'm a professional alcoholic, so that could well be. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, it's a nice drop, that one. It sells well in the pubs. Easy to sell.
But I've also had quite a few, again, from some of my fellow independent bottlers, that it's either the rum influence has not been evident at all, or it's overpowered and killed the spirit that I'm looking to enjoy. So it's always that fine balancing act of just getting it at the right time and pulling it when it's time to pull it. And don't be tempted to let it run any further. And I think with this one, I'm loving, if Gerard's crying out for a second one, then I'm a happy man. That's great to hear, Gerard.
I think for the price is not bad either when you think what the distillery at Snots Scapa normally costs, you know, the prices are going right through the roof with them, you know.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
It's actually one of the things that, you know, we've noticed, even since the last time, you know, we spoke, the prices of casks are just going up all the time. And it's a constant battle for us to source good quality casks that by the time we bottle them are not going to cost people hundreds of euros, because that's not what I want to do. You know, when both Victoria and I went into this project, we wanted to bring good quality, excellent quality, cask strength, single cask whiskey at an affordable price to people. I'm not one of these folk who think that a really good quality whiskey should only be for those who've got very deep pockets. and very fat wallets, because I could never afford that when I was younger. So why would I cut out someone who'd been in my situation? Not going to do it. So we're always, it's that fine balancing act of getting a good dram, but making sure that by the time we put it to bottle, it's still affordable for people. No idea how much it is out there for you guys. I could have told you in the spring, but now, no idea.
No, that's €100 a bottle. Yeah.
Right, that's not too bad. It's not too bad. I think we were £78, £79 here, something like that. Which by the time you take in the nonsense of Brexit and all that, and the amount that it's now costing for, it's one of the things that whiskey drinkers tend to forget. Our price for things like haulage has gone up threefold. We're paying 3 times for haulage what we used to pay, and it's so unreliable as well. It's not even a good service you're getting. We're having to pay import duties, which we never had to do in the past. We're having to pick up a huge amount of different stratas of red tape that never used to exist.
Yeah.
So there is that fight always to try and keep it.
I have to stop you there. I'm sorry.
We'll move on.
Because we only have like half an hour and we have a second whiskey.
It won't be a 40, quickie anymore. No.
Maybe 40 minutes. But that reminds me of we have to do a full tasting with you again.
Yeah.
With no time limit.
With no time limit, because as you know, I can talk. It's
no
get me shut up is the problem.
And we love to listen to you.
Yeah, there's no problem with that.
So that's no problem, but we don't have that much time. Many people are like, okay, I have like the next roast in the oven or something like that.
Roast in the oven, yeah.
No worries, guys. So let's crack on, and we're going to move on to.
And you've got that whiskey at your place as well.
I do.
Oh, there we go.
I didn't show the first bottle. I'm sorry, I showed the bottle. I completely forgot about it because I've got it here. That was the first one.
That's the first one.
So, and I'm not sure if the Whiskey Baron still have some bottles up.
No idea. It's a good question.
So we bought them all from Whiskey Baron.
Because he's buying them now from Kirsch. Yeah.
Yes.
But Kirsch, they sell out very fast, he said, because they got a lot better networking than
Michael. Well, they've been relatively selective over who's been offered our stock, mainly because there's not a lot of it. But certainly what we could try to do is I'll get in touch with the guys at Kirsch and find out as much as I can a list of retailers that they're offering our stock to, so that people know where they can buy it, basically.
I've got a contact there. So if you just let them know that we needed 5 bottles, one of each, and there's no problem, then I'll just go through them. Easy.
Perfect, John. Perfect. Good to know, mate. So we're moving on to a whiskey that I would imagine the vast majority of you have never tried. And we're moving on to a very young 5-year-old Monarch. To be honest, this is actually a vintage Monarch, not a very young one, because this is as old as it gets. So, for those of you who don't know the background and the story of Monarch is the phoenix that has risen from the ashes of what was Imperial Distillery. So, Imperial, founded way back in the 1880s, it had run its course, it was falling apart, and when it was looked at as far as how much money they had to put into it to bring it up to, 2020 standards, it was decided that it was going to be way too much of an issue. It was terrible for visitors. It wasn't good for visitors. Let's just demolish the damn thing and start again. And that's exactly what they did. Now, it's in a particularly attractive area, Imperial. But back in the day, because these were just big factories, they were never ever built with visitors in mind. You had to be off your head if you wanted to visit a factory. Whereas nowadays, that's a massive, massive part of any distillery's offering is the visitor experience. So Connacht modern distillery has been built with very much the best views and the best visitor experience in mind. And the one thing, the minute you move a distillery off its original footprint, so if Imperial sat here, Connacht sits here. They can't take the name with it. The minute they move from that original footprint, it goes. You've got things like Wolfburn as a classic example. Wolfburn Distillery burnt down in Queen Victoria's time. The concrete slab remained. And for years and years and years, there was crowdfunding, and they built directly on the same footprint as the original Wolfburn, so they get to keep the name. Connacht didn't. It moved off of that footprint. So the name Imperial dies, and the name Connacht is born. Now, this particular cask is, it was first fill bourbon, and this one is a Buffalo Trace, ex-Buffalo Trace cask.
Wow, that's a nice drop too.
Yeah, well, I'm very, very fussy about what bourbon cask I'm going to use. I think sometimes people are just a little bit fast to go, it's just bourbon. It's not just bourbon. There are a huge amount of different flavours that you can draw that are going to impact on the spirit that we have coming from bourbon distilleries. If I want something sweet and a little bit nutty, I'm going to use Maker's Mark. If I'm wanting something that's a bit more caramelly and fudgy, I'm going to use Buffalo Trace.
Oh,
you know,
cool.
I'm quite happy with Haven Hill as well, but Buffalo Trace is a particular favourite of mine. Now, this particular dram's sitting at 57%, so we're going up a wee step here. For me, on the nose, the first thing I get all the time is toffee apples. I just love this. It's this crisp candy coating that goes round that sweet red apple. It's got a gorgeous fruity, caramelly, sticky toffee pudding note to it in here. There's a little bit of spices, but not overly bearing. You know, there's nothing aggressive like a sharp green ginger or anything like that. It's what you would expect from a bourbon cask. You're getting a little bit of white pepper, not much else in spice.
I think he said that before you said that, Uwe. Nosing
that was, yeah.
And the apple.
But that's great. So we're in agreement. We're in agreement.
I'm really the oatmeal.
Yeah,
I think that's great.
I haven't eaten toffee apples since I lived in Tasmania, you know, and then I was 16, 15.
It's a long time since I had one myself, to be honest, but it brought me back to that.
In China, we had big toffee apple in China, the small toffee apple, remember?
Yeah, well, that's different,
Yeah.
And you know, the oatmeal side of things, every now and again, we will do something very flamboyant and ridiculous and make a bowl of porridge, a little bit of double cream, and pour a dram over it. So, and it is the most wonderful, wonderful experience.
Breakfast.
If you've never tried it, do it. It's the
Scottish breakfast.
Scottish breakfast.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
So damn good, honestly. You'll get that in a lot of hotels in Speyside. That'll be on the menu.
Before du alles verschüttest.
Yep.
Sláinte, guys.
Sláinte was.
Sláinte. Alarmtip schreibt dark fruit, dates, wood.
I get the dates. I definitely get the dates.
The dates is good, yeah.
And the woodiness is there, but it's not that dry, acrid woodiness. I think you have said earlier on, is this quite damp, wet oak? but it's in a really nice way. It's just that cask smell, you know? When you walk into a dunnage, slightly musty, but in a lovely, lovely way. Mulberry, that's a really nice one.
But what is, sorry, I have to ask John, what is that?
It's a berry.
Yeah, but what kind of?
Yeah, good question.
Oh, okay.
It comes from the mull bush.
Yeah.
Oh, Maulbeeren. Oh, yeah, there's a German. It's Maulbeere then.
I'm not. I don't know anything about Mulberry. Sorry,
Niels. I think you googled it anyway. So please tell me.
But you have a little bit. But that musty
translation is.
A little bit musty in it. Yeah, that's true.
It's
Yeah, you're getting that little bit
Yeah.
of dunnage,
It's good.
a little bit of dunnage coming off it. You know, sometimes it might be referred to as like a wet leaf mulch or something like that. But this is more dunnage. This is just the oak rather than any other kind of slightly mulchy note in there. But for me, it's the caramel, it's the butterscotch sauce that's coming out in here all the time. And yeah, you know, you're absolutely spot on. For 5 years old.
It's got a lot of colour, yeah.
Yeah, natural colour, colour.
So it's mulberry. Okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried mulberry?
Not that I can remember, no.
Can't remember. I tried the German versions of mulberry. I never tried that.
I've
before.
got a funny feeling I have, but for the life of me, I can't remember it. But this is so much easier than when I'm doing something similar to this, but for Singapore, because the flavours they're coming out with are things I've never had in my life. I'm like, what? And then they've then got to try and explain to me what the flavour is. And you're like, I believe you, honestly.
The fruit stands in Singapore are amazing, and then when you go to, especially when you go to like Newton's, what's the name of it? Something circus. And you go there and they peel the fruit for you and cut it up and all the bits and pieces, you know, in the fruit market. Oh, it's
the plan
you've never seen in your life. You wouldn't have a clue what it is.
Yeah, that's listening to them talk. I can fully understand that, and that's very much on the plans for this year is a visit out there because we've got a really good distributor in Singapore, and I'd love to support her a little bit more. So, and it's a good excuse to go somewhere I've never been.
Great food.
But that doesn't.
If you need help, just let us know.
Yeah, Catherine is on the way. Yeah.
It's the one thing that definitely it doesn't mean that I don't want to come back to places I have been, because we're still kind of hoping and praying that the village goes ahead this year. I have my doubts, but let's just keep our fingers crossed, guys. And if not that, then we will find another excuse to come back out. And you know, Nuremberg's one of my favourite stop-offs. So I've got too many good friends there now. They'll be too hard pushed not to come back. That's for sure.
It was really great to see the 30th anniversary.
Oh, it was lovely.
Now it's like 31.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
It was. It would be better if I hadn't had to stand on stage and do Robert Burns. But other than that, yeah, it was okay. That was a bit of a shock to the system, but fortunately, no one had a clue what the hell I was saying, so it didn't really matter.
Yeah, we didn't see the actual party, you know. We just saw you the day before, the day after. So the actual party thing we didn't see. So we can't judge you.
Yeah, you didn't. No, that's best. That's best. Always judge me on things you've not seen me do.
Yeah,
that's always the best way.
Reputation.
So that's one of the best questions for the end. Where can I buy a bottle?
Yes.
Great stuff.
Well, when I bought it, it cost €70, and it was at. I also bought it at the Whiskey Baron. So the guy in Johannes, Michael.
Well, there hopefully still is some stuff out there. I'm pretty sure there is.
I think you got to surf. You got to surf.
It's been around. Been around for a while. If you're struggling to find it in Germany, have a look at basically Belgium and the Netherlands, who took a heck of a lot of stuff.
Oh no, it's still online.
Have a look at Whiskey House in Belgium. They should still have it. But I think, you know, I'm delighted to enjoy it, Florian. I'm really happy with that.
That's a nice drop.
I think for a 5-year-old dram, this
it's really good.
Well, you can now see why I put them the wrong way around. Because I actually think there's maybe more to this one than there was with the first dram. It's a little bit more viscous. You know, it's got that really nice mouth coating note to it. It's got that heavier sticky toffee caramel note in there. Whereas the first one was very delicate. It was oh, right, so Michael's still got some. Oh, brilliant. Great. But that's why we've put this one second, rather than what would be the logical approach. Now, if that's the beginning of Dalmarnock, I'm incredibly excited to see where that distillery is going to go. I really am.
It's such a
yes. You've secured a few barrels, I guess, on the side from them?
Yes, we've put a few away. And funnily enough, just over the last year, we've seen a real hike in the prices. The only ones that have released so far, Signatory were first out with a 4-year-old.
Yeah, we tried that. We went there already. Yeah,
it was a good dram. It was a nice dram. Duncan Taylor brought one out, but it was Octaves, which I didn't try, so I can't really pass comment on them. And then us, but subsequently since then, there have been another few releases. And I think the more people get to be introduced to this new distillery and get to see quite how good the spirit is, the more the interest picks up, you know. So I'm glad we got things when we did, because we can see it's getting very, very scarce in the market now, actually. But there will be more Dalmarnock coming from Drumore, that's from sure.
How much do they make a year? How many?
I genuinely don't know, John. I'll check for you, mate. Hang on, I'll see if I can very quickly.
So for the others, if you really want to buy it, I just showed you the address. It's whiskyfast.de. They still have some bottles.
They still have some bottles.
Great. Well, hopefully not for long.
So maybe that's it.
Could be. I'm just trying to find if I can see what their throughput is. It's not a small distillery. It's not just a little craft place.
Right.
So I would assume it's relatively substantial. Right. So I can give you all the facts and figures. We are looking at a 54-hour fermentation time. They've got a filling strength of 63.5. It is all unpeated. They don't use any peat at all. Their spirit stills, they've only got one spirit still, but it takes a 20,000 litre charge. No, that's a lie. They've got two. They've got another one. That one's an onion shape. And the larger one, takes a 30,000 litre. 4 washbacks. Here's right. So 4 wash stills and 4 spirit stills. So it's bigger than I thought it was. So we're getting. They're not telling me what the throughput is.
So the Uwe he's really quick at Googling that stuff, and he said it's like 10 million litres a year.
Yeah, well, if you've got 8 stills in there, and you've got washback sizes at 59,000 litres, you're going to be making a hell of a lot of whiskey.
Yep.
Now, whether this ends up as something that they want to have as a blender's dram, or whether it's going to go into full production as a single malt, I don't know. Personally, from the quality of that, I'd be making sure that I was making plenty of it to go into single malts, because it would be criminal to lose all that to blending. But it's damn good stuff.
Yeah, but you still got to get rid of 10 million litres a year, haven't you? If you're making that much, so
absolutely. Yeah. You know, it's one of these things that it'll be interesting to see where they go with it.
Yeah,
I would assume at one stage they're going to start making it a bit heavier. They're going to start bringing some sherry notes into play. I think Chivas have really got something interesting here. I would be surprised if they don't start playing with peated expressions later on, as everybody else does. So I don't see them not doing it. But, you know, for 5 years old and at 57%, that's just nectar. It's too easy.
Really, so that's in German, but I'll try to translate for you. Klaus just saying, kind of long story short, it's 2 times really good whiskies. So do you know a better word for Gaia?
No, but I know about Imperial because I've tried a few Imperials and it's definitely a nicer drop than Imperial.
It's a very, very different spirit from Imperial. Klaus, thank you so much for that. That's really kind of you. Yeah, it very much is a different creature entirely. And I'm really glad they've done that because there's nothing worse than a distillery trying to mimic something that used to be. We'll see it soon with, you know, the Bearas and Port Ellens and Rosebanks coming back online. Are they going to try to mimic what was there, or are they going to create a new spirit for a new time? We don't know. We don't know.
Yeah,
but
interesting.
I think it was really, really important that when you lose a name and you create this new distillery identity, that you create a new character for it. You don't just copy what you had. So hats off to them for that.
So we should probably come to the end here because we've already done 40 minutes. So
the
Whiskey Quicky won't be a quickie anymore. Yeah. So,
but we'd love to hear more from you.
Yes,
definitely. And
I'll make contact about 5 whiskies, and we'll talk.
Definitely.
And I'll be whatever.
More than happy to waste a night talking with you guys. I'm always happy to do that.
And we'll do it online because online's easier from Scotland.
But thank you for your time. I know you at your mum's place because you couldn't see each other for Christmas and stuff.
Yes.
Thanks very much, mate.
And that's fantastic. You're still doing that.
Cool thing. Say hello to Mum.
And you can say that was the very first whiskey tasting in the new year, and it was really good. It was a really nice start.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, wonderful whiskies too.
Yeah,
no, perfect.
Everybody liked it. They're all saying not only in English, also in German. They're all saying they really enjoyed it and they really liked it. And yeah,
cool.
We're looking forward to the next tasting.
We'll let everybody get back to their roast pork.
Yes.
And
so you can stay online, but I'll say goodbye to everybody else.
Yes, thank you very much.
We will send a newsletter out this week for the next couple of tastings, and hopefully
we would have tried to do it a bit earlier, but we can't contact anybody
because everybody's on holiday. So but it was great. To see your text, not to see you, to see your text, and have a good rest of your Sunday. And
yes, enjoy your time.
See you soon.
See you later. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Thank you. Bye.